Okay, welcome everyone. Let the people join in. Okay. Very good evening, Ishan. Okay, have you gone through the test that I have given on Saturday? I'm not getting the copy currently of any of you. What is the reason? That if the paper was too difficult or too lengthy, what was the reason that none of you have submitted the test? बताइए. What was the reason behind that? Too long. Yes, it was. I have deliberately made it too long, so that I wanted to make you run through the patterns that how it is being done. एक बार जब हमारा कोर्स कंप्लीट हो जाएगा पूरा, देन जैसा यूपीएससी का एग्जैक्ट पीवाईक्यू आता है, मतलब पी पेपर आता है, उस बेसिस पे पीवाईक्यू के बेसिस पे आई विल अरेंज अ फुल पेपर. आपका फुल टेस्ट I will arrange, and if you can come in the class and give it like that, so that is more beneficial for you. उसमें क्या होगा, then you will have an idea. पूरा उस basis पे I will prepare. You will have instructions given there. आपका पेपर 1 का सेक्शन होगा, पेपर 2 का सेक्शन होगा. पेपर 1 होगा आपका पहला, ठीक है, फिर आपका पेपर 2 होगा, उस बेसिस पे 3 आवर्स का, एंड देन यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड कि क्या कैसे पेपर दिया जाता है, क्या होता है. बिकॉज क्या होता है, बहुत बार जब हम अगर पेपर नहीं लिखते हैं तो वी डू नॉट नो व्हाट टू पिक. इतने कम टाइम में हमारे पास बहुत कम टाइम होता है इन ऑर्डर टू एनालाइज कि कौन सा क्वेश्चन पिक करें, किस कौन सा हमें ज्यादा आता है, where we will get more marks, how we should leverage out all these things. So the point is, in order to understand these things, you need practice. Okay? And moreover, sometimes you do not know that, okay, any 3 are given. So any 3, kisme 3? Either I have to, and sometimes it written 1 and 5 are compulsory. आप वो छोटे-छोटे details miss कर देते हैं. कि question 1 and question 5 are compulsory, and from the rest of them you can pick one. Then people, what they do, sometimes they do not read the instruction carefully, and because of that they do commit a mistake. So in order to avoid the mistake, in order to minimize that error, I want you to have that experience. एक बार आपका course complete हो जाए, then I want you to give at least 2. ये आपका sectional test चल रहा है, which is going on these days, is a sectional test, which इसमें मैं आपको part wise देती हूँ. For example, environmental geography मैंने आपको part wise कराया, part 1, part 2, part 3 and then full. ठीक है, सिर्फ environmental geography. जब हम बात करेंगे पूरा पेपर की, तो पेपर 1 पूरा उस तरह से सेट होता है जैसे पीवाईक्यू आएगा, और पेपर 2 भी उसी तरह से सेट होगा. ठीक है, तो डू नॉट एक्सपेक्ट कि एक ही टॉपिक से बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन मैम दे देंगी, बिकॉज आई हैव टू डिवाइड द, आई हैव टू डू द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ द मार्क्स अकॉर्डिंगली. ठीक है, जैसे एक्चुअल पेपर में होता है. ऑलराइट, तो हम स्टार्ट करते हैं अपना अमेरिकन ज्योग्राफर से, and we will talk about the British geographers too today. आज हमारा डे है to discuss the British and American geographical thought. ठीक है, British and American geographical thought. क्या है British and American geographical thought? Why it was needed? क्यों? Why it was needed? क्यों आया था British and American geographical thought? क्या रीजन था इसके आने का? हाँ, what was the reason of this coming over there? और इतना लेट क्यों आया? देखिए, हमने देखा थे फ्रांस के अंदर वी हैड द विडाल डे ला ब्लाचे, इन जर्मनी वी हैव अलेक्जेंडर वॉन होमबोल्ट, कार्ल रिटर, वी हैड हिटलर. ऑल ऑफ दीज पीपल वर प्रेजेंट ओवर देयर who took the geography very seriously. उन्होंने geography को डिसिप्लिन को बहुत ही ज्यादा रिफाइन किया. They have put on their own theories in that, but in Britain and in America it became very late. ठीक है, If I talk about some of the modern geographers of Britain, it would be your Mackinder, who was quite popular. And in America, I would take Temple, I would take Davis, M. Davis. I hope that you remember M. Davis from the theory of landform evolution. जब हमने theory करी थी landform evolution की, from that point on we know Davis very well. How popularized his theory was. Why? Because he has given a very simplified theory of evolution of landforms: youth, mature, and old. These stages he has given, the stages of development he has given, and very nicely he has explained, and that's why his theory is still popular and relevant in these days also. So the point here is, what is the crux of the part is, जो आपका ब्रिटेन और अमेरिका का जोग्राफिकल थॉट था वो बहुत ही लेट डेवलप हुआ. They were not quite pro in developing the geography as a discipline, because people, first of all, they were not that interested. They did develop the interest by listening to each other. For example, अगर Mackinder की बात करें, so Mackinder was having a background of history, and he had served as a director of London School of Economics and Political Science as well. So he has been there at that position. But the point is, जब उनको history पढ़ाया गया, जब उन्होंने history पढ़ा, then he developed interest in the geography also. He thought, I will be considered as an established geographer only when I have gone somewhere. मतलब उनके दिमाग में ये बैठा हुआ था कि only when you go, you explore the places, you write about it, you give a research paper on the expedition, on the exploration part that you have taken up, only then you will be considered something, a very renowned geographer in the eyes of the people. So what Mackinder did? Mackinder went to the climbing of Mount Kenya. He was the first one who climbed Mount Kenya, and that is what he took up. Why? Because he wanted to do something related to exploration. क्योंकि सबने एक्सप्लोर किया, अलेक्जेंडर वन हम्बोल्ट ने किया, कार्ल रिटर ने एक्सप्लोर किया. When everybody was exploring, so they thought that exploration is one of the integral part of being a good student of geography. So they thought कि अब मुझे भी क्या करना पड़ेगा, I have to also roam, I have to also explore. तो जब इनके दिमाग में ये बैठ गया, अब मैकाइंडर क्या बोलते हैं? मैकाइंडर ये बोलते हैं कि चलिए ठीक है, we have to refine it, we have to do it better. But मैकाइंडर ने बहुत ज्यादा इंस्पिरेशन लिया डार्विन की थ्योरी से. डार्विन की थ्योरी was still quite relevant, and he also understood the relevance of Darwin theory in the human society. Initially, I talked about organization and association. मतलब a man is a integral part of a living ecosystem. जो आपका ecosystem है, man is an integral part of it. So it's a relationship that has been formed. That's why it is known as association and organization. Apart from that, Darwin ने जब second phase put किया, point put करा of struggle and selection, he was also quite influenced by that point as well, because even he thought so that in a society also they are just acting like an animals, wherein the best of the best societies are thriving and they are expanding. At the cost of what? At the cost of the inferior people who are not able to expand and do much better. So the point here is they were also quite influenced by it. मैकेंडर ने एक और चीज करा. He was also a great modern human geographer. He has given a lot of contribution in human geography. Human geography में क्या किया? He built an association of a man and the environment. When you build an association of a man and an environment, you call it as human geography. Where you're telling that this is what is there. So मैकाइंडर का एक रोल आपका ये रहा. दूसरा रोल क्या था? He has developed a very popular with मैकाइंडर heartland theory. Mackinder has given a very popular heartland theory. What do you understand by heartland theory? Heartland theory says that the Eastern European part of the world is quite important. According to him, what he has done, he has divided the regions into strategic parts. मतलब उनके लिए ऐसा नहीं था कि सारे parts equal हैं, सबका एक every part of the world is the same. there is no landform strategic what do you call it as advantage, right? So earlier there was nothing like that. इससे पहले किसी ने ऐसा नहीं सोचा. He was the first one who thought so that there are certain places in the world which are enjoying the strategic, having a strategic location, and they are enjoying that. For example, if I tell you that agar koi bhi area, it's very near to the sea, and obviously they are having a strategic advantage. How? जैसे अभी हम एग्जांपल ले सकते हैं स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मुज का. अब स्ट्रेट ऑफ हॉर्मुज आप देख लीजिए, despite of the fact that America is quite powerful, despite of the fact America is quite one of the developed country, it's one of the most influential country, they have a lot of these investments in the different parts of the world. Still, when it comes to the state of Hormuz, they are not able to influence Persia. They are not able to influence the Iranians. Why? The reason is they are enjoying the geopolitical, they are enjoying the geopolitical advantage. Who? Iran. Iran is enjoying that right now. Why? Because the landform has been made in such place. This is a strategic location. अगर ये स्टेट ऑफ हॉर्मुज से यहाँ से ऑयल शिपमेंट्स आपके जाते हैं, and America is not being able to do anything. Why? Because the major part of the area is being covered by, on the one side is covered by Iran, and when it is covered by Iran, Iran is being highly proficient in a lot of things. For example, they are very highly proficient in not letting the people come in the state of Hormuz. They know how to deal with it. So therefore, America is not able to do anything in this. तो आप ये खुद ही देख सकते हैं कि कुछ एरिया के पास क्या है, एक स्ट्रेटेजिक एडवांटेज है, which we cannot neglect. India is also having a strategic advantage because being a subcontinent, we are having what? A peninsula. We are on a peninsula. We are surrounded by the three sides with the ocean. So with the oceans, and there is a sea also, prominent sea. So therefore, we are enjoying that. No doubt about it. There are places which enjoys the advantages, strategic advantages. Similarly, for Mackinder also, the eastern part of the Europe was highly important. So what he used to say, this was known as very popularly the heartland theory of Mackinder. This was popularly known as heartland theory of Mackinder. Mackinder ने क्या बोला? He said that the eastern part, this part of the world, which is your Eastern Europe, is strategically quite important, and one who rules this area, rules the world island. The one who rules the world island. So basically, ones who rule this area rules the heartland. Ones who rules the heartland rules the world island. One who rules the world island rules the world. So this was his whole theory. कि जो इस एरिया को कवर कर लेगा, उसने बेसिकली क्या कवर कर लिया? एक कोर कवर कर लिया इंपॉर्टेंट एरिया का. कहते हैं ना कि ये एरिया बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, अगर ये हमारे हाथ में आ जाए then it's going to be highly beneficial for us. जैसे अगर आपने हिस्ट्री भी पढ़ा होगा तो हिस्ट्री में कुछ एरियाज बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है इन द हिस्ट्री. फॉर एग्जांपल जब मगधा आपका एस्टैब्लिश था, there it was very important. Why? Because there were a lot of fertile lands which were there. Similarly, Tungabhadra region in the southern region was quite popular and important. So everybody went to that area and used to fight and want to grab that area as soon as possible, want to conquer that area. So कुछ areas हमने देखे in the history also that everybody fought for. Similarly, for the Mackinder, this part which you call it as Eastern Europe was very important. For them, Eastern Europe, if you have the Eastern Europe, you're basically having the heartland. आपके पास heartland आ गया. अगर आपके पास heartland आ गया तो आपको you can easily rule the world islands. If you can rule the world islands, then you can rule the world. That was the theory of Mackinder. और Mackinder ने क्या thinking दिया? उन्हें thinking दिया कि politically आपको कैसे सोचना है, strategically आपको कैसे सोचना है. So he has given that viewpoint to everyone कि आपको strategically, आपको mentally, आपको किस तरह से आपको you have to put your. So geography कभी भी इस तरह से नहीं सोचा गया. For them, political geography का concept दिया था, किसने दिया था? Radziel ने दिया था. If you remember, political geography किसने लिखा? रैडजल ने लिखा था, तो रैडजल आल्सो टॉक्ड अबाउट दिस। और अगर आप वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री में जाके देखें, फ्रॉम दिस देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ इंस्पिरेशन। all the Persians, all the Germans were they were expanding to the east. देखा आपने, अगर आप वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री में जाके देखेंगे तो they were expanding to the east. They wanted the more space for the Germans, which you call it as Lebensraum. Lebensraum means more living spaces. More living spaces. And why do we need? They would need living spaces because they used to consider themselves as the superior race. किसी ने डिक्लेयर नहीं किया था, उनको खुद ऐसा लगता था कि हम सुपीरियर रेस हैं। And apart this was very contrary to whom? Alexander von Humboldt. Humboldt ने क्या बोला था? That everybody who is here is basically coming from what? We all are coming from one race. We all are coming from one origin. So there is no inferiority, there is no superiority. So this is what Alexander von, इसके opposite रैडजल ने ये theory put करी, और इसी theory से inspired होकर हिटलर ने Lebensraum का concept रखा, that we want more spaces for the Germans because they used to consider themselves as one of the best and superior race, and they, because they are more competitive, they are more intelligent, they are thriving. So the point is they have to expand more. ठीक है, तो ये आपका थ्योरी था। अब इसी से कॉन्सेप्ट को आप देखिए लिंक कर रहे हैं आप, कैन यू लिंक ऑल ऑफ दिस। अब मैकाइंडर ने जब ये थ्योरी रखा तो मैकाइंडर ने दे हैज गॉन टू डिफरेंट प्लेसेस। इनफैक्ट लंदन के अंदर एक रॉयल स्कूल, रॉयल सोसाइटी ऑफ Geographical, just let me tell you the exact name of this. Yes, Royal Geographical Society, correct. Royal Geographical Society. It was established in London basically. So they had even developed this Royal Geographical Society. For what? For the promotion of the geography as a discipline. Because they wanted to introduce it as a discipline, because अगर आपका authority उसको consider कर लेगा as a subject, then everybody can then further. They can do that. They can accept that. You can hear me out today if you want to. अभी आप आज लिखिए मत. I will give you then share you the notes. Don't write. ठीक है? You just listen to me. कुछ excerpts मैं पढ़ूंगी from the notes only. आप उसको बस समझ लीजिए. The notes will be provided to you online. You can just get that from the portal. Today you just listen whatever I'm explaining. ठीक है? So the Royal Geographical Society was also there, which was very prominent over at that point of time. So let's talk about first Mackinder in detail, what he thought of. So okay, so first talk about Britain. कि Britain में development क्यों नहीं हो रहा था? Britain में development के ना होने का बहुत सारे reason. One I have given, that they were not very interested geographers who wanted to do it from the scratch. Because उनको लगता था कि that geography is something that you have to go out and explore. That is the only thing that you can do in the geography. So development of professional geography in Britain took place much late as compared to Germany and France. As a result, there was no conceptual revolution in geography in Great Britain. So पहला point हमने क्या पढ़ा? There was no conceptual revolution. There was no conceptual revolution in the Great Britain. Conceptual revolution का क्या मतलब है? जैसे Alexander von Humboldt ने बताया that he has given the concept of systematic geography. Karl Ritter has given the concept of regional geography. ठीक है? Somebody Ratzel giving the idea of the human geography. So they all are giving some sort of input. अगर कोई input ही नहीं देगा, तो you will consider, there is no, it's just that you're reading the past records, you're reading the already existing accounts. The only thing is that you're not adding something. तो आपने कुछ नया तो ऐड किया नहीं इसके अंदर. So it's just that there was no development on the conceptual basis. It's just that there's a discipline. We have to read it. We have to further develop on it. That's it. Okay. So as he occurred in Germany and France. So delayed development of professional geography may be attributed to lack of academic entrepreneurship. You can write these words. ये key words हैं that you can write. That there was a lack of academic entrepreneurship. What do you understand by entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship. That nobody took the charge of renewing the subject on their own. Okay? Write down, there was a lack of academic entrepreneurship. If you cannot see the spelling from here, I'm writing again. There was a lack of academic and entrepreneurship. Okay. Next what? Among the British scholars. Next what? Next, we will talk about the Halford J. Mackinder. As I've already told, you can write just points. Halford we popularly called him as Mackinder only. आप सिर्फ इतना नेम भी याद कर सकते हैं. We popularly call him as Mackinder only. So I've already given the detail of the Mackinder, right? He was Halford J. Mackinder. He was both a scholar and a practical man of affairs. You can write down, he was both a scholar and a practical man of affairs, full stop. He held various positions. Next, he was a director at the London School of Economics. Next, he was a director at the London School of Economics and Political Science. Next point, he was trained in natural science, contemporary natural science and history. Next point, he was influenced by Darwin theory of organization and association. You understand what is organization and association? That man is an integral part of the living society. That is what we call it as organization and association. Next, he pointed out history without geography as a mere narrative. Don't you think that you have heard of this line again? I mean, in the previous previous lecture also, who has emphasized on this? There was a very important geographer. At that point of time, there was no geographer. A very important thinker. He was Herodotus, who used to say that history should be read as geographically, and geography should be read as historically. Right? So it is quite inspired by the Herodotus also, who has given the same kind of a Soumya, who has given the same kind of line. I mean, the same kind of a statement earlier. So write down. He pointed out that history without geography was a mere narrative. I hope you understand the meaning of narrative. Narrative means आप किसी भी चीज को बस ऐसे बता रहे हैं and there is no relevance. अगर आप किसी का टाइमलाइन नहीं बता रहे, जैसे अगर आप हिस्ट्री बता रहे किसी चीज की, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ ऐसे अभी की बात कर लेते हैं, आपसे जो स्टेट ऑफ हॉर्मुज है वो क्या हो जाएगा, एक हिस्ट्री बन जाएगा आगे जाके फ्रॉम नेक्स्ट सेंचुरी में अगर कोई पढ़ रहा होगा अबाउट द इवेंट व्हिच आर हैपनिंग इन दीस डेज, तो हिस्ट्री बन जाएंगे. अब मैं आपको उस पॉइंट में जस्ट इमेजिन दिस, हम आगे चले गए, 1 सेंचुरी बाद चले गए, और उस टाइमलाइन में मैं आपको समझा रही हूँ अबाउट माई टूडेज सिनेरियो, मतलब यहाँ पे जो इवेंट चल रहा है वर्ल्ड के अंदर. तो आई एम जस्ट स्टेटिंग दैट इन 2026 the Strait of Hormuz got obstructed. Why? Because of the fight between America and Iran. Okay. Now I'm not telling you the context. What was the context? क्यों ऐसा हो? Because I'm not telling you the geography over here. मैंने आपसे डिस्कस ही नहीं किया about the geography. So just इस कहानी की तरह हो जाएगा. It's just that the facts I'm putting in front of you. I'm just putting all the details without telling you what was the reason behind it. It's just the narrative. तो अगर आप आज का सिचुएशन देखते हैं, and if I'm telling, I'm narrating you the story that America wanted to go from there. I mean, they wanted to that there should be no obstruction, but still obstruction was there for 2 months and so. अब तो बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम हो गया है. So this pattern continued and therefore it spiked the prices of the oil etc. and henceforth. अब मैं आपको क्या नहीं बता रही हूँ कि what was the relevance of this place. क्या रेलेवेंस है उस प्लेस का. आप ये भी सोच सकते हैं कि ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन अगर हो गया तो दे वुड हैव गॉन फ्रॉम समवेयर एल्स, दे कुड हैव बीन एन अल्टरनेटिव. जरूरी थोड़ा ना हम वहीं से जाएंगे. बट नाउ बिकॉज यू हैव नॉट रेड द ज्योग्राफी ऑफ द प्लेस, you won't understand it deeply that what is my context, what I'm trying to tell you. ठीक है. So just reading it out, it's just like reading it very in a plain manner. ठीक है. तो next लिखिए. Next write down about the Mackinder only. He was also the founder of the modern geographical thought. He was also the founder of the modern geographical thought in Britain. Very interestingly, he was also had a seat in the parliament, right? For a very short duration, he was also a member of the parliament, right? So therefore he was a politician as well. And very less people know this, that he was the politician as well. Okay, so पहला पॉइंट देखिए, अंदर इस मेजर कंट्रीब्यूशन राइट डाउन, मेजर कंट्रीब्यूशन करके लिखेंगे अंदर मैकाइंडर. मैकाइंडर इज वेरी पॉपुलर. देखिए आगे जाके भी इंडियन ज्योग्राफी के अंदर एक पार्ट आता है जहाँ पे मैकाइंडर का देयर इज डिटेल्ड व्यू, जहाँ पे इनका हार्टलैंड थ्योरी का डिस्क्रिप्शन है. सो रीड दैट आउट वेरी नाइसली हियर टू. ठीक है. राइट डाउन major contribution. First लिखेंगे establishing geography as an academic subject. He established first point, he established geography as an academic subject. He established geography as an academic subject. First point, Mackinder played a key role. First point, Mackinder played a key role in promoting geography in British universities. Mackinder played a key role in promoting geography in British universities. Next point. In 1887, it's very important, interesting fact. In 1887, he became the first lecturer. He became the first lecturer at University of Oxford. Isn't it interesting that you are knowing the first lecturer of a place which is quite renowned in itself. This university is quite a dream for many students who want to aspire to have an education from the foreign land. So this is one of the quite aspirational university in the world. So University of Oxford में जो first lecturer थे वो कौन थे? मैकाइंडर थे. ठीक है. किसके? I think have you written of geography only? He became the first lecturer at the University of Oxford of geography. The subject was geography. Next point. Write down. He wrote the book Britain and British Seas. He also wrote the book Britain and British Seas. He wrote the book Britain and British Seas. Next point. He was also the founder of modern geopolitics. He was also the founder of modern geopolitics. He was also the founder of modern geopolitics. Next, his major contribution was heartland theory. His major contribution was heartland theory, which was presented in 1904. His major contribution was heartland theory. और कब हुआ था हमारा वर्ल्ड वॉर, सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर? Heartland theory, which was presented in 1904. Which was presented in 1904. Next point. He divided the world into strategic regions. He divided the world into the strategic regions. He divided the world into strategic regions and argued for the control of Eurasian heartland. He argued for the control of Eurasian heartland. Underline करेंगे Eurasian heartland. That could lead to the global dominance. अगर आपने if you've taken this taken over this space, then you can take over the world. That could lead to global dominance. And this was just the theory. Global dominance. Okay. Next point is regional and political thinking. 6 point लिखेंगे. Regional and political thinking. We also had regional political thinking. And very popularly, we have already written, he has given a lot of contribution in regional and human geography as well. He led the relationship between environment and human society. ये आप अपनी language में लिखिए. Next point में लिखिए, regional and human geography. He led the relationship between environment and human societies. He led the relationship between environment and human societies. Okay, environment and human society. Okay, last point लिख सकते हैं. He influenced British strategic thinking. He influenced British strategic thinking. Okay. Davis, all of you can write very easily. Davis को मुझे समझाने की जरूरत नहीं है. M. Davis, जिसके बारे में आपने बहुत पढ़ा है. He was also one of the famous modern geographer who has given the landform theory. In fact, you write down this question. You can do it on your own. Write down. Discuss the contribution of modern American geographer M. Davis. M. Davis. This is your assignment question. Please write down M. Davis. Okay. All right. So write down now about next. Okay. Write down about Mark Jefferson. He was also quite popular in this area. Mark Jefferson. He was basically what? So Davis was, देखिए, Davis was American. मैकेंडर वॉज ब्रिटिशर. ठीक है, अभी हम साथ में कर रहे हैं ब्रिटिश एंड अमेरिकन. So M. Davis was from America. So this is that you have to write about this theory because आपको पहले से पता है about M. Davis. But now I am talking about an American geographer whose name was Mark Jefferson. Who was this person? Mark Jefferson. He has given a greatest contribution in the development of geography in America. ठीक है, so write down. None of the Davis students did more. देखिए, none of the Davis students did more to promote and improve. He was basically a student of Davis. He was basically who? He was a student of Davis. आप लिख भी सकते हैं यहाँ पे. He was a disciple. He was a student of Davis, and none of the write down. And none of the students did more to promote and improve the teaching of geography in the US then Mark Jefferson. Who was a professor of geography at the Michigan MICHIGAN at the Michigan State Normal College. Next point. Jefferson deserves a special place. Jefferson deserves a special place in the history of geography. Jefferson deserves a special place in the history of geography, not only because in the enthusiasm he kindled, he kindled in his students, but also for many contributions, also because of his many contributions in the conceptual structuring of geography, but also in the conceptual structuring of geography. Write down. Primate city concept. पहला लिखेंगे what was his contribution. The first contribution of him was primate city concept and double underline. Primate city concept लिखिए. Jefferson introduced the primate city rule in 1939. Jefferson introduced the primate city rule in 1939. That very year when your World War started, Second World War started. Okay. So, what was the primate city rule? What was the meaning of it? This explains that your one area is always going to be highly important, wherein everything will surround this area. For example, if we talk about Europe, London is one of the, in UK, basically, London is one of the most prominent area. You can call it as a primate city, and around it, every important thing is there. ठीक है, तो हर जगह ऐसा होगा कि एक important city होगी, उसके अराउंड सब कुछ होगा. जहाँ पे नहीं होता, जो थोड़ा सा लेस पॉपुलर होता है, यू कॉल इट एज कंट्री साइड ओवर देयर. तो दिस इज हाईली इंपॉर्टेंट. क्यों इंपॉर्टेंट है? बिकॉज यहीं पर सब कुछ इसी के अराउंड है. यहाँ पे जिस एक आपका सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट, ऐसा नहीं होगा ये भी इंपॉर्टेंट है, ये भी इंपॉर्टेंट है, ये भी इंपॉर्टेंट है, हार्डली आपको देखने के लिए मिलेगा. लेकिन हर जगह क्या होगा जहाँ पे इससे क्या होगा, इसी जगह पे सबसे ज्यादा आपको पॉपुलेशन डेंसिटी मिलेगा. योर एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव वर्क will also be done through these areas, knowing the importance of the area. ठीक है, important institutions भी आपके यहीं पर ही होंगे. ठीक है, so you give the very important, you give the high importance to one city because they hold that value. ठीक है, so he introduced this. Next, he explained that in many countries, in many countries, one city dominates. In many countries, one city dominates. He explained that one city dominates all other. One city dominates all other in population, economy, in population, economy and influence. हर चीज में डोमिनेट करेगा. पॉपुलेशन डेंसिटी भी यहाँ ज्यादा होगी, इकोनॉमी भी यहाँ से ज्यादा मिलेगी आपको, एंड रन करेगी आपकी इकोनॉमी यहाँ पे, और इन्फ्लुएंस भी इसका सबसे ज्यादा होगा. For example, Delhi is a primate city. Everybody want to come to Delhi. Why? Because they know that you will get a lot of opportunity here. If I talk about in India, ठीक है. Next example में लिखेंगे Paris, France, London, UK. अब ये कॉन्सेप्ट आपका कहाँ यूज हुआ? This concept was largely used in the regional analysis. जब आप किसी भी एरिया को डेवलप करते हैं, तो in that you consider all these points. ये यूज हुआ आपका urban planning और regional analysis. This concept was used in urban planning and regional analysis. जब आप अभी population settlement का पार्ट पढ़ेंगे, then you will understand that why regional analysis and urban planning में ये क्यों important है. Next उनका contribution किसमें था? Cartography में. One point is this. Another point is his major contribution, Mark Jefferson contribution, was in cartography. It is the art of making a map, right? So write down. He worked on map generalization. He worked on map generalization. He worked on map generalization. Next, he emphasized simplifying maps. Next point. He emphasized simplifying maps. He emphasized simplifying maps without using important geographic information. He emphasized simplifying maps. He emphasized simplifying maps without losing important geographic information. Next, he helped make maps more clear. He helped make maps more clear, scientific, useful. ठीक है? Next इनका contribution लिखिए. Write down the next contribution of Mark Jefferson. Contribution to urban geography development. He gave a good contribution in urban geography development. ये क्या चीज है urban geography development? What do you understand by that? You have to understand, when I told you that whenever you are developing anything, आप पहले क्या करेंगे, उस एरिया को एनालाइज करेंगे, जिसमें प्राइमेट सिटी का कॉन्सेप्ट बहुत ही एसेंशियल था. उसी तरह से जब आप अर्बन ज्योग्राफी डेवलपमेंट करेंगे, आप ये देखेंगे आपका पॉपुलेशन साइज क्या है, डेंसिटी कैसी रहेगी, कौन से इंपॉर्टेंट सेंटर्स है अराउंड. ठीक है, सो व्हाई इट इज इम्पोर्टेंट, इकोनॉमी कैसे रन करेगी यहाँ पे. तो सब कुछ आपको प्लान करना पड़ता है बिफोर प्लेसिंग एनीथिंग. ठीक है, why it is important, because आपको पता है that a lot of population is going to be there, so you have to accommodate everything. Basic amenities you have to accommodate. जब आप एक एरिया को डेवलप कर रहे हैं तो आप ये तो देखेंगे ना, how many people you can accommodate. अगर ज्यादा लोग आ गए तो how would they will be able to handle all this. So you need a kind of a planning. So write down urban geography development, लिखिए. He studied city size distribution. He studied सिटी साइज डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. क्या आपका सिटी का साइज डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन रहेगा? He studied city size distribution. Next point, he studied population settlement patterns. He studied population settlement patterns. He studied because different patterns होते हैं. You will study in the later part. For example, radial pattern, कि आपका यहाँ पर है and यहाँ से ऐसे roads जा रही है. ठीक है, या फिर this linear pattern you will study. So there are many population patterns. Next, urban growth. आप ये भी देखेंगे in the next 10 years how much people, how much population they can accommodate in the coming next 10 or 20 years. The population growth. And it helped establish urban geography. And it helped establish urban geography as the important part of, as the important branch of geography, as the important part of geography. The very last point of Mark Jefferson is, he played a key role in Paris Peace Conference. Paris Peace Conference हुआ था आपका World War I के बाद. So he played a key role in the Paris Peace Conference after World War I. ठीक है, he played one of the key contribution in the Paris Peace Conference, which held after World War I. कब हुआ था ये? After World War I. Next point, he provided geographical knowledge about boundary making. He provided geographical knowledge about geographical knowledge about boundary making. And क्योंकि इनका जरूरत था, क्यों? क्योंकि कार्टोग्राफर थे. Because he has given lot of details in the cartography, So he know what kind sort of decision can take place. So, and he has also given a lot of territorial decisions. Write down, and territorial decisions. इससे क्या पता चला कि ज्योग्राफी की इंफॉर्मेशन होना कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है. दिस स्ट्रेंथन फर्दर द रोल ऑफ ज्योग्राफी इन द इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स. ठीक है, ओके, जस्ट रीड आउट all of these and then we will move further. Then I will introduce you Semple, which is who is one of the most prominent geographer, American geographer again, who has given a lot of contribution. Done. आगे बढ़े. Any doubt? Now, this is your last geographer that we are doing from all the geographical thoughts. इसके बाद आपको geographer नहीं करना है. इसके बाद हम thoughts पढ़ेंगे. Thoughts in sense we will understand who was the major proponent of, for example, environmental determinism, who was a major proponent of environmental possibilism. जैसे हमने पहले भी पढ़ा है, आपको रेपिटेशन नहीं होगा, जोग्राफर के नेम्स फिर से आएंगे बिकॉज इन्होंने ही थ्योरी डेवलप करी है, बट अगेन वी विल नॉट टॉक अबाउट देयर बैकग्राउंड्स. तो यहाँ पे जैसे विडाल डे ला ब्राचा है, he was quite a good promoter and a proponent of the environmental possibilism. जब आपका determinism की बात आई थी, तो he was against that. He said that although the environment is putting constraint on us, still the human has a choice. Human can still fight. So he developed that, and eventually the concept was further developed by the Fabre. But the point over here is that you have to understand that this concept is not very new. अगर हम point बात करें environmental determinism की, तो डार्विन ने भी यही बोला, ठीक है, आपका रैडसल ने भी यही बोला. He was also great proponent of determinism. So everybody quoted for the determinism, but Vidal de la Bracha was a great. He was promoting the possibilism. ठीक है, okay. Now further developing on the American geographer, the next one we have Ellen Churchill Semple. लिखिए, write down the name first. Title, how would we spell it? Ellen Churchill Semple. Ellen Churchill Semple, write down. Ellen Churchill Semple, लिखिए. So another pioneer geographer, write down. Another pioneer geographer. Pioneer means one of the most prominent, one of the leading. Another pioneer geographer of the period was Ellen Churchill Semple. After graduating in 1882, write down. After graduating in 1882, she taught for years. She taught for years. She taught for years in her native town. She taught for years in her native towns. She received the master degree. Then she received the master degree in 1891. Then she received the master degree in 1891. So what she was reading, you were very surprised to know she was not a geographer initially. She studied sociology and she studied economics in those master's degree. So the point here is, जो भी आप background देख रहे हैं, किसी का भी background देख रहे हैं, तो हर किसी का देख रहे हैं, they have studied something else. Why? Again, because geography was not an established discipline. Since it was not an established discipline in a lot of places, so they have to own and go for different subjects, different disciplines. Later on, they thought that, okay, we have to develop the understanding on all these. Okay? So write down. She received the master degree from Visar in 1891, comma, earned externally on the basis of, and earned externally on the basis of 2-year program, 2-year program of sociology and economics. Okay, so she was the one who was quite inspired by Ratzel. Okay, Ratzel was at that point of time was serving as a professor in Leipzig. It's a place in Germany. At that point of time, when she heard and read the work of the Ratzel, she was quite inspired from him, and she was the one who developed further on the ideas of the Ratzel. So write down. From friends she heard about the enthusiastic reports. She heard from the friends about the enthusiastic reports about the professor in Germany at Leipzig, Leipzig, Leipzig. And later she studied with Ratzel. In 1892 and 1895. So what she did later, because she was so inspired, she got in touch with him, and then they both studied together about the subject. Next point. She returned to the United States, greatly stimulated by Ratzel's approach. She returned to the United States, greatly stimulated by Ratzel's new approach to anthropogeography. Geography. Later she came to because इसी टाइम क्या लिखा था Ratzel ने इसी टाइम पे क्या लिखा था, he has produced 2 volumes of the anthropogeography. One was more popular than the second. ठीक है? When she returned back to the America, she found it quite fascinating, the kind of approach that Sample was taking. Right, so she returned to the United States, greatly stimulated by the Ratzel's new approach to anthropogeography and his interpretation of geographic influences on course of history. But एक बात के लिए she was not in line with the fact of the Ratzel. What was that? Comparing a person with the state. क्या Ratzel ने consider किया था? State क्या है? He compared the state with an organism. All of you remember that? ये हमने बहुत डिटेल में पढ़ा है, बार-बार पढ़ा है. Comparing a state with the organism. But she was the one who did not understand this concept. Okay, so write down. She rejected his ideas about the state She rejected his ideas about the state as an organism which he had derived from. He rejected the idea of state as an organism which he had derived from Herbert Spencer, which she had derived from Herbert Spencer. Next point. Temple's main aim was टेम्पल क्योंकि सैंपल राजल कौन थे जर्मन थे राजल ने हर चीज किसमें लिखी जर्मन में लिखी सो द पॉइंट वाज शी वांटेड टू प्रोड्यूस एवरीथिंग इन इंग्लिश सो शी ट्रांसलेटेड हिज वर्क ठीक है so write down she sample aim was to present Ratzel ideas in English but clarified and reorganized but she clarified and reorganized with the various illustrations from the different parts of the world. Okay. Next point. She published her first professional article. She published her first professional article. She published her first professional article. I don't know what was the name of the article. Likhiye. She published her first professional article dealing with Appalachian barrier in American history. Appalachian, yeah, Appalachian, whatever you want to say. Appalachian barrier in American history. And when she did this? In 1901. In 1901. Next point. She published a paper based on her own field observation. Next point. She published a paper based on her own field observation. On the highlands of eastern Kentucky. Eastern Kentucky. 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 Eastern Kentucky. इसी आर्टिकल से the first article she has written was Appalachian barrier in American history in 1901. The next one she wrote was about she developed a field observation on the highlands of the Kentucky. So regarding the results of the isolation on the settlers of that area, that how the people have been isolated in that area, what toll it takes on those people. So she wrote all of that over there. Okay, so इससे क्या describe हुआ? This second article that she wrote, in fact the first article was also popular. These two articles led her to the road to fame. So write down. She published a paper based on her own field observation on the highlands regarding the results of isolation on the settlers of that area. Next point, the second paper took her along the road to fame. But her professional status was confirmed in 1903 with her first book, with the first book. कौन सी book लिखी है उन्होंने? American history. He has written the first book, American history and its geography. From here, the establishment of career got started. Right down. American history and its geographic conditions. And its geographic conditions. Okay. Next point, along with this only, not next point. She presented her version of the first volume. She presented her version of the first volume of anthropogeography. In anthropogeography, in Radsell's of the first volume of Radsell's anthropogeography, in her great book, Influences of Geographic Environment. In her great book, Influences of Geographic Environment, which was published in 1911. Just read out this. We have second leg also of the Ellen Churchill sample, but before that, you just read it out. Anything you have to ask, read, or any doubt you're having, just ask that. Written everyone? Done? आगे बढ़े? ठीक है, लिखिए आगे. Ellen Churchill's sample made significant contribution to geography. Ellen Churchill made significant contribution to geography by developing and popularizing the idea by developing She made a significant contribution by developing and popularizing the idea of environmental determinism. And by now you all know what do you understand by environmental determinism. That is, your environment is playing a key role in the environment is playing a key role and putting a limitations on the human capacity, on the human capabilities. Okay? So when you have the environment का अगर बहुत extreme situation है किसी area में, in fact determinism का जो बहुत ज़्यादा promote करते थे, he was Huntington also. He was another geographer who even used to promote all these concepts, and he was a climatologist who used to say the environment has a big role to play. Why? He used to say that extreme cold is not good, and the very extreme hot is also not good. The mild temperatures which are there in North American, European countries, they are perfect for the productivity of a human being. While when the temperatures are quite extreme, then the productivity all of a sudden decreases. So that is what Huntington used to explain. उन्होंने एक अपना बुक लिखा, बुक का नाम था पल्स. The name of the book was, just hold on, it was The Pulse of Asia. In The Pulse of Asia, he has mentioned all of this. So it was not only the sample who was promoting this, it was the other geographer also. There's a Huntington, एक और American geographer थे, he was a climatologist. He also used to promote this idea of environmental determinism. तो इनफैक्ट आप ये बोल सकते हैं कि पूरा जो अमेरिका था, बिकॉज और भी ऐसे जोग्राफर्स होंगे, वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू डू ऑल द जोग्राफर्स, इतना आपको पूछेगा भी नहीं, बट द पॉइंट इज हमें सिर्फ इम्पोर्टेंट करने हैं. तो उसमें यू कैन ऑल्सो टेक द नेम ऑफ दिस अनदर जोग्राफर whose name was Huntington. He was a climatologist. He has given a lot of other details also, and one of he was also a supporter of the environmental determinism. ठीक है. So next, she explained that human life, culture and activities. She explained that human life, culture and activities are strongly influenced by. She explained that human life, culture and activities are strongly influenced by physical environment. Physical environment. Next point. Through her famous book, Influences of Geographic Environment, through her famous book, through her famous book, Influences of Geographic Environment, 1911. This was written in 1911. Through her famous book, Influences of Geographic Environment, she systematically showed how factors like climate, landforms, location, shape human societies. In her famous book, Influences of Geographic Environment, और geographic environment कब लिखी थी उन्होंने? This was the English version of the Anthropogeography of Radziwill. और ये बुक भी काफी फेमस हुई थी कब? 1911 में. Wherein she has mentioned the factors like climate, landforms, locations are quite important. They influence they shape the human society, or they influence the human society. Next, influenced by Frederick Ratzel, she introduced his ideas and helped establish human geography as an important branch. She helped establish human geography as an important branch. And further, with the help of her teaching, with the help of her writing, she made this subject even more scientific, even more popular. ठीक है, this you can add on अपने आप से कि ऑर्गेनाइज डिसिप्लिन को साइंटिफिक और ऑर्गेनाइज बनाने में इनका बहुत बड़ा रोल था, बिकॉज शी हैज रिटन लॉट ऑफ राइटिंग्स, लॉट ऑफ रिसर्च पेपर्स ऑन दिस. ठीक है, she introduced her ideas to the English speaking world and helped establish human geography as an important branch. She contributed to geography through her teaching, writing, making the discipline more scientific and organized. Okay. For the time which is left, so basically, in all, sample was quite popularized. Okay. So according to me, although the sample has given a lot of contribution, she has even established it. She was the one who kindled the kind of enthusiasm, just like the other geographers like Mark Jefferson and Mackinder. She was also one who kindled a lot of enthusiasm in the student. But the point is, with the time, her theory has not withstood the test of the time. Reason being, because the kind of the theory she was putting, because all there's going to be this case that whenever you put a theory in the public is going to criticize it for one or another part of it. But in all, she has contributed a lot. In fact, there were a lot of students, very popular students, who have gone through her classes where she has taught them, she has presented a very good version of the human geography. And the point is, she was also a very persuasive teacher in all. Okay? Okay. Next, you can write about the Huntington also, as I have already mentioned about him. So why not discuss this a bit? Write down Ellsworth Huntington. Write down ELLS. The spelling is little difficult, I know. Write down ELLS, Ellsworth Huntington. बहुत छोटा part ही लिखना है हमें. We don't have to elaborate much on him. Huntington. HUNTING. Huntington. HUNTING. Huntington. Write down. Ellsworth Huntington was a prominent American geographer. Vicky. Ellsworth Huntington was a prominent American geographer and a climatologist. And he was a climatologist of 20th century. And he was best known for his ideas. And he was best known for his ideas about how climate influences human civilization. Next point, he is also closely associated with environmental determinism. And he strongly supported that climate and physical environment, influence human culture, economy and development. Human culture, economy and development. Next point, he believed that modern climates like Europe and North America were more favorable. He believed that modern climates like Europe and North America are more favorable for the advanced civilization, whereas extreme climates, extreme climates limited the human, whereas extreme climates limited the human productivity and progress. Next point. This thesis was presented in his book. This thesis was presented in his book, The Pulse of Asia. The Pulse of Asia. Next, he was also a great proponent of, he was also a great supporter of human geography. He was also a great supporter of human geography. Right? That's all about it. So you can still write the question I have given to you. So with this, we have done all the thoughts. I mean, we have done American, British geographers. Now we have done the French and German geographers. We have done the Greek philosophers, जो ancient में थे, and then we have done the Dark Age. Then after that, the classical modern geography also given by the Alexander von Humboldt and Karl Ritter, Darwinism theory, all of that has been done in detail. अब आपको क्या करना है? You go back and read all this. अब timeline के साथ पढ़िएगा. Don't read it like randomly. If you want to pick up one area, for example, you start with modern geography, then start with Karl Ritter and Alexander. इससे क्या होगा? आपको आइडियाज आएंगे कि अच्छा कार्ल रिटर ने भी ये चीज बोली थी और इसको ये भी सपोर्ट कर रहा है. सो इन दैट वे यू आर गोइंग टू ब्रिंग अ सिंक बिटवीन बोथ. ठीक है. तो इन दैट वे यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड द होल स्टोरी. बट अगर आप इसको ऐसे पढ़ेंगे, सिर्फ मॉडर्न को पढ़ लिया, मतलब मॉडर्न में सिर्फ अमेरिकन को पढ़ लिया, बाकी नहीं पढ़ रहे हो, तो उससे क्या होगा? आपका एक रिलेशन नहीं बनता है पुराने वाले सब्जेक्ट, पुराना जो भी प्रोड्यूस किया है या जो वर्क है आपका पुराने जोग्राफर्स का, दैट विल नॉट, यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू रिलेट टू इट. तो द पॉइंट इज, मॉडर्न पढ़ रहे, मॉडर्न जोग्राफर से पढ़िए, बट स्टार्टिंग से स्टार्ट करके फिर यू कैन इलैबोरेट ऑन दैट. अगर आपको पहले से अंडरस्टैंडिंग है विद थ्रू माय लेक्चर्स, देन व्हाट यू कैन डू, आप सीधा जा सकते हो अमेरिकन और ब्रिटिश जोग्राफर पढ़ते हैं, क्योंकि आपने पहले से वो चीज पढ़ी हुई है. ठीक है. ऑलराइट. So please continue with the question which I have given on the end Davis, which is modern geographer only. Okay, thank you so much, class.